Kenneth Eugene Kaiser.
Kenneth Eugene Kaiser and
Vera Maxine Minden Kaiser.
Vera Maxine Minden Kaiser. And these two are, gosh, well, first up, I'm sure if you're in Paola, if you're in Miami County area, I'm sure you've heard the names Minden and Kaiser. Right, you have to have. These two have been here for, gosh, their whole lives. First off, how long have you two been married?
We'll be married in April 26th. We'll be married 75 years.
Next year.
75 years next year.
Next year.
That is it. That's so cool. That's amazing. Okay, what is your secret? I mean, what is your what is your secret to a long life and a happy life and a life together?
Boy, I don't know where to start.
Stay married and don't get a divorce.
Stay married and don't get a divorce. That works for me.
Yep. There
Honey, you hear that? All right. So, okay. All right. First thing, we'll start with you, Mr. Kenneth. Kenneth, who are your parents?
Ed Kaiser and Rose.
Ed and Rose Kaiser, and okay, and Miss Vera, yours?
Mine are Dick Minden and Anna Omar Minden.
Dick Minden, gosh, okay. Now, gosh, give us from the beginning. Okay, where did you live at when you were born, Kenneth?
We lived a half a mile west of the Catholic cemetery in a great big home there, and I lived there for 18 years until I got married.
So catty corner from the Holy Cross Cemetery, correct?
311 and
A half a mile west.
Hedge Lane.
311
On Hedge Lane.
And I can tell right real quick. I can tell you two have been married for more than a day. Because you have everything you said, Miss Vera, you were mouthing the same words, so you knew the answer. So okay,
he was born in that house.
Born in that house.
Yep.
Okay, and I'm sure everybody's seen that house. I mean, that house it's a staple to the community. I mean,
It's been restored.
Yeah, it's been restored. It's out on 311, going towards Holy Cross Cemetery. If you go further east, you're gonna hit Lewisburg. So. Now, Miss Vera, where were you born at?
Okay, I was born on Block Road, and I'm not sure about the number, but I was born across the road from the Block Lutheran Church, Trinity Lutheran Church and school. And we had a rented house. I was born in the house and lived there until I was 14, and we moved to my grandma's house just about a half a mile down the road.
Wow. Okay, so living here where you're at now, how many houses have you lived in together since you were married for 70 almost 75 years?
From where I was born, I moved, when I got married, I moved down to the
Half a mile south.
327 and
327th Street in Victory.
Okay.
And I was lucky enough that my dad owned a house, or 160 acres and a house.
We could move in.
And we moved into it when we got married, which we stayed there until that was in 45. And then we moved up here in 72. This place didn't have a house on it,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad and my two sons built this house. You might say built it from scratch, poured the foundation, laid the brick, did everything, built everything herself.
Oh wow!
And we moved in here in this house in 72.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Okay, Miss Vera, what about you?
So I've lived in 4 houses and he's lived in 3, so we've lived in 7 altogether.
Altogether. That's amazing. All right, so so you moved straight. I mean, you lived in that one house out by block until you got married.
2 houses.
Two houses.
I moved in a rented house and then my grandma's house.
Okay.
And then moved down there and then moved up here. So I had 4 and Kenny had that one, and this one. So.
All right, so I'm trying to pinpoint the original families here in in Paola. I mean, where? So your family before you, Vera, how long did they live here?
They've always been here, born and raised here.
Are you serious? The Mendens,
Yeah.
the Menden family.
My probably great grandpa, might be my great grandpa, moved here from Germany.
Okay.
And so did my grandpa Mar.
Okay.
Now he was 13 when he came, so I know he came, but I think my grandpa Minden, I think his dad is the one that came from Germany, moved here.
And that was in the late 1800s?
Yeah.
Okay.
They helped start the Block Lutheran Church and
Gosh.
school and stuff.
That's amazing. Oh, wow. Oh, you just answered so many questions that I have. Okay, that I've had. Okay.
My grandpa comes from Belgium.
From Belgium. So
And-
Germany and Belgium.
And
He was 13 when he came to landed at St. Louis.
yeah, he's
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, so let's jump right into it. First off, tell me about your kids. You have 3 boys,
3 sons,
and their names are
Daryl, Merle, and Lester.
Daryl, Merle, and Lester. And they have how many kids each?
Okay.
Daryl
Daryl had 4 kids.
If you have any family watching now, if they leave you out, it's my fault. I put them on the spot. So
Daryl had 4 kids, and one happened to get killed in a car accident. He was 21 years old, so he's got 3 left. But he had 4 boys, and Merle had a boy and a girl, Kathy and Kelly, and Lester had 3 kids. He had 2 girls, Lisa and Lori, and a boy, Jamie.
and now here's the real test, Kenneth. How many grandkids?
my wife can add them up better than I can.
15. Isn't that right? Well, 15 is what we said. No, 9.
Nine,
I'm getting in the next
You're
generation.
getting into the great grandkids, or
Yeah.
all right. So
9.
9.
And one of those got killed in that car wreck.
Sorry to hear that. All right, let's go on to okay. I asked this everyone I'm talking to, all the people I'm interviewing for this show for good old Paola. I'm wanting them to recount the changes.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
know it's saying, gosh, in that many years, how many? Because you both are the same age, correct? And
Yes.
Right.
Almost 94, or 94? Is that it?
And he's 93.
93.
I'll be 93 in March.
That's it. Okay, so
We're 6 months apart.
in 93 years, what are? Give me some of your top changes in the area and in the town of Paola.
Start.
She's putting you on the spot, Kenneth.
From the horse and buggy,
Horse and buggy.
and
Well, we had Model A's.
then the old Model A, and
Model T.
I've still got my dad and mother's lap robe when they was courting.
The horse and buggy.
Really?
It's hanging up there in the garage, and
Now, real quick, will you explain to everyone what a lap robe is?
it's when they was in the horse and buggy, which they didn't have a heater in them.
Yeah.
The lap robe is what they put over their lap to
Did,
keep from getting too
Keep
cold.
warm.
didn't he
Keep
have?
them warm.
That's amazing. All right, so how now? I mean, gosh, now we're in the whole next century.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, the whole changes in technology.
To the moon.
Yes, I mean, from to the moon to gosh, with the wars. I mean, just everything. How has your idea on life changed over that time?
Well, when we were in high school, it was World War II.
Mm-hmm.
The Hawaii bombing happened when we were
Pearl
freshmen.
Harbor. Oh, wow.
When we were freshmen in high school, and we started out with over 100 kids in our freshman year, and buses. We had buses for a year or two there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the only reason I got to go to high school was because we had rural buses then,
No, I heard
and
a
I
story.
got started on the Bradley buses. And then when the war came, they took the buses to DeSoto for they needed the help for the build to do ammunition,
Mm-hmm.
and so we didn't have a bus. And my dad and a couple of my friends and got together, uncle, and built a back end onto a truck, and that's how I got to go to high school. I
Oh my
rode
gosh.
that the last 3 years. Or I wouldn't have got to go to high school. And at the time, I didn't realize that, but I realize now
That is amazing.
you know, my dad forfeited for me to get to go to high school.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
And the war took all of our kids. We only graduated 53.
Oh,
And a lot of those were lost on account of the buses. The kids didn't finish.
yeah, and then you didn't have
And
to
the
ride to
rest
school.
of them were in the war.
Oh, wow. Now, I know we interviewed Arnold Debrick.
Yes.
And now, Arnold Debrick, well, if you rode the bus and you lived out
Yes.
there by block, he drove the bus, is that right?
Yes, I think he did.
So that is true. So those of you that saw Arnold on the MCTV on the interview, he was not lying. He drove the bus to
Yes.
school.
It's a wonder we didn't all get killed. But we all lived through it. We only had 2 or 3 wrecks. It wasn't very bad.
2 or 3
I
wrecks.
don't think we missed any school. Yeah, that was exciting at the time. You know, we didn't realize how important that was to our life.
Could you imagine that now?
Yes.
Having kids drive the bus?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So,
And we didn't have any indoor water or plumbing or, anything, and didn't have electricity. And
oh my Lord.
so it's completely different today.
That is amazing. And now, Kenneth, I want to hear about you. Tell me about your school.
Well, I was in my school. I only had a little less than 3 miles to get to school, and when the weather was decent, we walked to school, and when it wasn't good, we always had a way to. My dad took me to school, and then when I got big enough to ride a bike.
How did he take you to school?
In the old car. Yeah, it was in 26 when I was born. So we always had a car
Okay.
or a pickup,
Mhm.
you might say.
Yeah.
And then when the weather was decent, I always rode my bicycle.
Where'd you go?
Went to school on my bicycle. I had a neighbor down the road 2 miles. He always come by, and we rode to school together, side by side.
Now, okay, I didn't ask you this, Vera, but where did you go to grade school at?
Across the road from where I was born. Just
Oh, wait, so you were at the
Right.
church.
Mhm.
Okay. And Kenneth, what about you? Where did you go to grade school at?
I went to grade school at the Catholic school in Paola,
St. Pat's.
but my first 8 years at school, I graduated there and then went to high school. And you want to go on to the
Where the
my-
fire station is now.
now in 1945, both of us went to Paola High School.
In high school?
And started it as freshmen. And on our
Real quick, Kenneth, and just so everybody that doesn't know, I mean, after some of these shows, you'll get the hang of it. But the Paola High School actually was back in the beginning. It was where the fire station is in Paola. It's right off the square,
right.
in between Peoria and Weaw, and I think Oak Street, and
Mhm.
can't think of the other street, but that's where the
Peoria.
old high school used to be
Peoria.
in Peoria. And so, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, you were saying?
And that's where I met my wife, I met her as when we was freshmen in Taylor High School.
Did you know each other before?
Never didn't even know where she lived, where anything.
Really?
When I met her, I was in FFA, Future Farmers of America, and she was in homemaking, and my FFA class had a hayrack ride.
First week of school.
Are you serious?
First week, and they invited the girls to homemaking. Well, that's where I met Vera, and after that, we dated off and on. You know, not too heavy, but it went off and on like that until we was juniors. That's when we started going together all the time.
So okay, was it love at first sight? Or did you see her and just, I mean, bells and whistles and little birdies flying over and little
Too long
cute
ago,
up there?
you don't remember.
I had a car and she had trouble getting to school in the old bus. So she liked me because I had a car, you know. No, that's just. But
Miss Vera, what about you? Did you see? I mean, the birds and
I
chirps
don't
and bells
remember.
and cherubims?
Not really, not at first, no, because we dated other people in between, or I did. I don't know if he did or not.
we dated different ones on our freshman freshman and sophomore year.
Till we started going
But
steady.
then we started going steady in our junior and senior year. And
then when did you get married?
right at the graduation time in
April before we graduated.
No way, really?
Before we graduated in 1945.
So then when did you move into your first house?
That same
day?
month
After we graduated, I think.
after we
Okay.
graduated.
We didn't want people to know.
Oh no, really? So you
We tried to keep it quiet, and
you eloped?
he got called to the office the next morning, and Mr. Meeker, the principal, said, "Where'd you go last night?" And he says, "Oh, I don't know, we just out." And he said, "Did you go to Ottawa?" "Yeah, I went to Ottawa." They already knew by the time we got to school. So it was all over school, and so, but I think we didn't move in till we graduated to the house down there.
So did you tell your parents?
Oh yes,
Okay,
oh
I
yes,
was gonna say.
all of our parents
They knew
knew.
before?
Oh yes,
Okay, I was gonna say.
yes, all our parents
Oh,
knew.
So Kenneth, when did you propose?
I don't know, a week before.
So is that quick? Just boom boom?
I think a couple of weeks before.
We had been going pretty steady. You might
For a
say
couple
for 2 years, junior and senior
we
year.
knew we were going to get
I
married.
took her to the junior banquet,
Both
my
years.
junior and senior year. So
Wow.
you know how
Serious.
close we were.
And so now the junior senior banquets for people that don't know, that's
Junior,
basically
senior
your
prom.
banquet.
Now,
Oh wow. So so what about how was the prom back then? How were the banquets back then? Was it just
I don't think we
room
had
on
a
one
dance. We just had a dinner.
Okay.
And we were in the music room, and the home ec girls served the dinner. We had a fancy dinner. Had dates, just like anybody else. We had a program. I don't remember what it was anymore. We always had a theme, just like they do now. Just didn't have the dance back then.
And guys, we were just talking about school and high school and banquets, and it got me thinking. I mean, I want to know, back in the day, what did you do for fun, Vera?
Outside of going to the dances at night, I don't remember that we did anything
And
else.
so, where did you dance at?
At the Play Mart.
And the Playmore, where was that? Is that down
Where the old swimming pool, above where the new swimming pool is, north of the new swimming pool.
Okay, so just across from the basketball courts in Wallace Park?
Yeah, side down the road a little bit, yeah. And that was a nice dance floor. We had big bands, came from Wichita and Topeka,
Really?
and some of the big bands. And we also square danced some, but that was later on when we got married, after we'd been married a while.
Now, where'd you square dance at down there?
We belonged to Frontier Twirlers at Osawatomie.
Oh, yeah.
We belonged there till our backs gave out, both of us. Couldn't square dance anymore, so we gave that up. I don't know that we did anything. We milked cows, and he was always busy milking cows at night, so we didn't do a lot of running around after we got married.
So now, I asked you a little bit ago, and I want you, do you still dance?
No. No.
Just flat no?
Can't do that anymore.
I'd say about 5 years ago we had to either quit or slow down.
Well, the last time I remember dancing was at Michelle's Town Square when Jenny Buckman got married.
Okay, yeah.
And we had a bunch of couples on the floor, and they kept saying, everybody kept dropping out. And we were the last ones dancing. We were the oldest
Oh
ones.
my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in case you don't know, well, obviously Kaiser's last name, they're related with their grandson is Kelly Kaiser. Kelly Kaiser is related to Michelle Kaiser, who owns the Town Square events on the square.
Yes.
And Town Square events, I asked you a bit ago about if you ever cruise the square. We were talking about that, and Town Square events used to be, was that Fickle Furniture or grocery store?
Yeah, used to be Fickle Furniture.
Okay.
But way back when, it was a Kroger's grocery store.
That's right.
That's where we bought our groceries all the time.
And so then you talked about the, where the Pala Dance School is at, the dance studio on the west side of the square. Right down the street from between the Senior Center and Crown Realty. There used to be a dance floor.
Mm-hmm.
Where was that at?
Above the implement dealer on the corner, where the Senior Center is now. There used to be a dance floor up there.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm.
And so is that where the movie theater was, or was the movie theater in the
It was
dance
on
school?
the street below, but we went down the corner and went upstairs. But the movie studio was up east of that,
Okay.
about the middle of that block.
And the movie studio was inside where the dance school is now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Down at the bottom in the back.
Yeah, right. I think so.
That is amazing. It's hard to believe. For people watching, for the viewers that don't know, it's hard to believe that on the square. I'm still blown away. I've said this. I say it every show. I'm still blown away that there were like 4 grocery stores on the
5
square.
grocery stores.
Yeah.
There were
2 5 and dimes.
2 5 and dimes.
2 or 3 2 banks. I guess there was.
Oh yeah. Then there was Miami County National Bank.
And Citizens.
And then Security. Well, Citizens,
Citizens
not Security
Bank.
Bank. There were 3 or 4 bars.
Yes.
There's the Rat Hole, and
Pool Hall.
Pool Hall. Gosh, that.
And can't think of him. Emery's used to be Frankie's. Was down down on the west side of Peoria.
But right across the street from the Mexican restaurant, Casa Grande.
Yeah.
They used to be Frank's, and Frank's it burned down 10 years ago, roughly.
Emery's were in there for a while.
Was, yeah.
But we'd get down off of the dance floor and we'd go up down the alley and go in the back door of Frankie's at intermission. I guess that's what we did for fun.
Well, you know, just like driving a car, you had to have a little energy.
Yeah, some fuel, right?
Yeah.
Tires. We couldn't get tires during the war.
We would drink a fast one, and then get back up on the floor. The way we'd go.
That's your fuel for the dancing?
I think that helped our stand together more than anything, because both of us love to dance.
That's amazing.
And
right catty corner, I'm trying to think, right catty corner from the across the street from the dance hall on the west side of the square, was that the old coal and lumber?
Yeah.
Was that it?
Coal and lumber, coal.
Yeah, we're
Bernice Wallace owned the lumber yard. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's amazing. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm just blown away. Okay, so fast forward. Past your first getting married, the newlyweds. Where did that go to? I mean, you obviously lived out here in the same place. How old were you when you had kids?
Oh,
When you first
we
had
had kids right away. The first year we were married.
Really?
Yeah.
And so, how far apart were the boys? Then?
Daryl was born in 45. Merle was born in 48. Lester was born in 50.
Wow.
And then that was it.
So.
And I worked at the Miami County Co-op for 17 years when Les started kindergarten or school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked at the co-op for 17 years.
The three boys went to school down here at the corner, Vickers School.
Oh yeah, that's right. Right down the street.
When they was in grade school.
Okay.
Until it closed.
We closed it. I was one of the, what do you call it?
School board member.
School board member
When it
for several years until
When
it closed in
when it closed.
56, I think.
I don't remember.
And then they all went to
Had to
school
go
in
to
town.
school in town.
So in that school, what was it called? It was called Vickers.
Vickers.
Vickers
School.
Vickers School.
And it's a little one building, one room school.
Uh-huh.
That's amazing. That is so. A lot of people now said, man, the people that bought the school fixed it up, so nice little house there.
Uh-huh.
I just saw it a little bit ago on the way out here.
Yeah.
My oldest boy rode his horse to school
Up this road to go to school.
up this road into the.
Are you serious?
It was just a mile and a half
Uh-huh.
up here. He rode his horse up here.
And how old is he?
He's 70.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean, how old is he?
70.
How old was he then, though?
74. He was 6. First grade.
From
And he rode his
six,
horse.
from 6 to what? 7, 8.
We didn't, not 1 or 2 years, yeah. Princess, a couple years. He
That's
rode.
amazing. Can you imagine your kids right now?
Ride a horse to school.
my kids are 11, 9, 7, and 5. My 7-year-old, my 5-year-old riding a horse to school. That's.
Yep.
Yeah, one night I
Did
couldn't
he ever get lost?
No, didn't get lost. But Daryl walked home one night and he was crying when he come in. I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I forgot I rode my horse this morning."
Oh my God.
So I'd take him up to school to go get the horse because he didn't ride it every day. They'd
Uh-huh.
walk some days, and then some days he'd ride him. And I don't know why or what the difference was. But he forgot he rode his horse that morning, so we had to come up here and get him. One night he fell off. And the
Oh my
neighbor
God.
man came by and they tied the horse to the fence and he brought the boy home. I don't know why he didn't put the boy on the horse and send him home.
So how far apart were your neighbors back then?
About like, well, we didn't have the house across the road. We weren't here. This house wasn't here. There was only one house on this road.
Okay. Oh, so you're talking about down there?
Yeah, down this road south. And because our grandson lives below the hill now, and then there's a new house on the left side of the road, and then her mom and dad used to live up on top of the hill. So we got 4, and this is a new house across the road. So we've got 5 houses on this road now. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5.
That's amazing. That is amazing. All right, so moving as we move through time, the gosh, I can't think now. So what was it like? I mean, did you ever have to experience any direct? I mean, military. You were in the gosh, were you in the military at all?
No.
No.
My brother went to, you might say he went to war
Mm-hmm.
in 1941
Mm-hmm.
when the war started. And he stayed in there for 5 years, which in 1945 he retired. But he was in, you might say, the biggest part of the war for 5 years. When it come up my turn to go,
When you were 18, you had to go take your physical.
you know, I had to take a physical, and I was playing football every Friday night, and it so happens that I didn't pass the physical, which
Really?
they were taking anybody that could walk, infantry,
Mm-hmm.
anybody that could walk, and my one leg, my one knee, it wouldn't pass. So
Wow.
That was one thing that kept me out. The other thing was the farmer, if he had a brother or one of the kids was in service,
Has to go back and work the farm.
they
Leave one day off.
if you had two brothers, they left one of them home to help farm, and this was my second choice. I got to stay home and never did get into service. So it's it was good, but it was you might say bad.
Back then, I mean, it seemed that I've heard the story like that before from several people that I've interviewed, and I mean, the fact that, I mean, like I said, it was good that you didn't go to war, but it was hard because
Everybody
you
else.
wanted to be out there with everybody else fighting for your country.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think that's, I mean,
Well, everybody.
I won't say my generation, but I think now, I mean, that's the difference between then and now is that back then it seems like there's more pride for your country, more.
Yeah, everybody.
And I mean, there are people out there with a lot of pride for the country. I'm not talking about you, but there's people out there that just are kind of against that. And it's just it's sad, but it's life.
Well, I had two strikes against me. One of them I didn't pass the physical, and the second one was my brother was already in service, and especially farming. We had to feed them, and to take everybody away from the farm, it wasn't feasible because they couldn't get it all done.
Farmers were elderly and
Yeah.
couldn't farm.
Well, and the fact that, I mean, the farmers, I mean, the food you were supplying was for the country and for them too over there. So it's just a tough fight to chew. Again, Paul Michael Davis with Kenneth, and I didn't even think about it until now, but well, Kenneth and Vera Kaiser, but Kenneth, I keep calling him Kenneth, but he said that his mom. Well, here you tell the story. Should people call you Kenneth or Kenny?
Kenny.
And tell them why.
Well,
tell them who's the only other person to call you Kenneth.
Yeah, my mother was the only one that called me Kenneth. Everybody else called me Kenny. I guess they didn't know how to spell it.
No, it's because you were always in trouble. That's why you're
No, the truth comes out.
We grew up having a good time. That may be one of the reasons that we are still married. But we danced together. We had parties together. You can't believe if we had. See, this is 75th coming up, and we had a 25, a 35, a 45, 50, 65. We have celebrated, and I mean we celebrated every one of them.
Oh my God. I'm gonna talk about one thing real quick. I didn't even bring it up. We were talking about the Wallace Park. We were talking about the dance floor up there above the pool, and I failed to mention. You were on the football team in high school, correct?
Right.
You played 4 years of football, and for the Pella High School.
Yep.
And the high school's up by the square where the fire station is now. It used to be the middle school. Before that, the high school. Where did you play football at? I mean, I know you played for Pella, but where would you practice and where were the games at?
After school, after high school, which is where Vera and I went to high school, is where the fire station is now, and we would run or walk down to the Wallace Park, and the stadium is still there in Wallace Park. We played the football in front of the stadium.
In front of the Rock Stadium.
There's a Rock Stadium down on the south end of Wallace Park. I spent 4 years in football. I played even my freshman year, and real heavy my senior year.
You had to walk down there every night after school.
You know,
Come back home.
run down, either run down there or walk down there.
Coach usually made him run down or run back, one or the other.
Well, think about it, like back when, like I said, I went to middle school there, and we used to practice down at the Wallace Park, and down above the like by the basketball courts, and so that's a fun jog, fun run down there. But so okay, what would you do? How many games got canceled or got rained out or flooded out?
Well, the flooding, probably flooding out because of the most.
I don't
It
remember.
rained. I don't think rain made too much difference.
Let the flooding come with it.
Because I tell you, there was many a time that I had a double handful of mud, and the guy I was supposed to block, that was a good place to put it.
Very nice.
That sounds like some football to me.
Well, if I didn't do it, they'd do it to me. So,
So what position did you play?
I played tackle all 4 years,
Oh my gosh!
and
And how big of a boy were you?
I weighed 165 pounds and 5'11".
Wow, that's a big boy back then.
Yep, I
Wow.
was a pretty good sized boy, and I was a farm boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, the coach was looking for farm boys.
I guarantee you was.
Because the farm boys, well, it's just like me. I got up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I milked cows before I went to school.
Oh my Lord!
And I had to get home right after school.
And how many cows did you milk?
Well, back then, 20 was probably the limit.
So
But
20 in the morning.
it went up to 40 after I got married and
Got a machine,
Oh my
and-
gosh!
machines.
and got a machine and got the bulk tank and everything.
So, but you did 20 by hand when you're in high school.
13 to
13.
Yeah.
15, 20 somewhere.
Wow, that's amazing. That is
That
amazing.
that'd give you a lot of strength in your farms.
I'll tell you. Wow. Okay, Miss Vera. Now, you back then, did you were you a cheerleader or did you
No, I didn't
You
do
play
any of
any
that kind of
sports?
stuff. No.
were you in any clubs?
No. See, I come from the country and I was so shy. And
So you,
I didn't hardly get to go to town once a week, so I hadn't left home very much. So
oh my goodness.
I was pretty shy in high school. I did good. I had good grades. I had top in shorthand, top in typing, and all that kind of stuff. So, and
That's pretty cool.
loved home ec and stuff like that. So,
So, all right. Now, when was the first? You said the first time you met was a hayrack ride.
hayrack riding.
Okay, and that was when you were a freshman.
Freshman first week of school, and I saw him on the bus. We picked him up that first year when we had that Bradley bus. I'd seen him get on at that house, and I didn't know who he was or anything till later on after we had the hayrack ride.
But you remember that all the way back then.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right. So, Miss Vera, before we go, yeah, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, what I used to do.
What you used to do. I'm sorry, you used to do.
Well, I worked at the co-op for 17 years until the boys all got out of school.
Mm-hmm.
Then when the boys got out of school, we built the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do all the painting and the finishing and the curtain. I did all the curtains the first time around, but we've had some new ones since then. But I did all that, and then the first year that I was out, I had gotten a trunk. He had worked on an old house and brought home this pretty trunk, and we'll get a picture of it sometime later. And Nada, remember Nada?
Yeah.
Was our home economist,
Mm-hmm.
and she had a trunk class. A lady came from Emporia to do the trunk class, and I did the trunk at her class. And that started, by the time we got that done, we still had some names left. And Nada says, "What are we?" Tried to get them to come back to finish the classes.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 30 names left. Nada says, "What are we going to do?" I says, "Why don't we teach it?" So Nada and I and 2 or 3 other ladies that were in the first class taught the next class. And by that time, I had two ladies had already asked me if I would do their trunk. So I asked Nada, I said, do you care if I do trunks for somebody? They've asked me to do their trunk. So I did their trunk. She said, no, I'm not having any more classes. We've had two. That's enough. Everybody can, find somebody to help them do their trunk now. She taught all those ladies how to do it, and they can teach somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got started. And then I had classes after that, and I did trunks for people all over the place. And
Oh
I
my gosh.
have scrapbooks of all the trunks I've done, and there's over 400 trunks in those
And
books.
how long would it take to do a trunk?
A week, at least.
Oh my gosh.
If you work on it almost all the time, by the time you let paint dry and time in between.
You did 400
classes.
Oh my gosh.
Classes, but I'd say probably 100 of them are classes.
Oh my gosh.
Or 150 are classes. But the rest of them I did. And then I also learned how to quilt when I was a little kid. And so I always belonged to, we started the Quilters Guild, this quilt guild the same way we started the trunk class. Nada says the girls are all going to Kansas City to learn how to do quilts. She says, we need to have quilt classes. I said, well, we can teach that. I said, there's plenty of ladies around, because that's all we had to cover up with when I was growing up was a quilt. So that's all I knew. And
so now you want to.
So we started the quilt guild and started the quilt classes, and that's how we got the quilts going.
And so now tell me more about the quilts. I mean, what have you entered in contests? I mean,
no, not too many. I don't like to do that.
You don't like to do that.
No,
So did you just make them for family or friends?
Oh yeah,
or?
yeah. Give them all away.
Oh my gosh.
I've got a lot. I've got about 20 or 30 back there, but
You gotta make me one now.
Gotta give. Okay.
You're gonna make me a quilt.
I started the veterans quilts remember when they had the sand, or what was the one where the kids, the first war that was so bad?
Desert Storm.
Desert Storm.
Mm-hmm.
I sent quilts there. Remember they said how hot it was in the daytime and they didn't have any covers? That's where I got started, sending them to veterans.
Really?
And then the National Ladies started the veterans quilts. And so I started doing them here by myself, and I made all my class ones. I made Arnold Everett one. We've been talking about him all the time. So I made all the kids in my class that met with us for our luncheons. I made them all one. And I kept thinking about all the rest of the veterans that I knew. Like Arnold was not in our class, so I knew he was one of the veterans. And the neighbor man up here, Damon Overhyde, I made one for him.
Now, did you know Kenneth Bond?
Yeah, I knew of him. I didn't know him. But so then I told Nada about it. I said, I want to make some more veterans quilts, but I don't know how to get the names for them. So she brings it up at the next quilt guild meeting, and so they took it up as a project, and we made over 500 quilts in Lima County for veterans. We had, I don't know how many parties. You went to one of them, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
That is so fun to give the guys their quilts.
That's so cool. And so then Jenny Buckman, the red or the quilt place in Paola.
Yeah. Little Red Hen.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. She's one of our main ones.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I've always known.
So you still make quilts?
No, can't see enough. I can't tell the right from the wrong, the colors, and I have trouble threading the machine and stuff like that. So
that's so cool.
I hate that. So
now, Kenny, have you ever tried to quilt?
No, that's one thing I haven't got time to do, because I've farmed all my life. And I've been an outside boy, and a quilting is an inside job.
Inside job. I dig that.
And we milked so many years until we quit milking. That took up a lot of hours. And every night we couldn't go anywhere or do anything because we always had to milk. So,
we did a lot of traveling.
Yeah, we did.
So where all have you traveled?
You start telling me.
That's what
I don't think there's any place we haven't been.
My goodness.
Yeah, I have lots of places I'd like to go yet. We went on a farm tour with George Stevens. George was our old county agent at one time,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to Europe with him. We went to
You went to Europe?
went to 5 countries. I
Are you
can't.
serious?
I went to Germany, France,
Holland?
England, Holland, and Switzerland. I
Okay,
think
so,
that was the
so,
5
now,
countries.
so let's go back. Okay, so were you German?
Yes,
And what was your heritage?
Belgium and
Belgium.
German. Kaiser German. We saw Kaiser all over Germany. Every
Yeah,
store,
I guarantee you, yeah.
every store there was.
Yeah, Kaiser.
Half of the people over there are named Kaiser.
So we went with that,
so half the people over there are your cousins.
and
Probably.
Probably.
that was that a farm tour too? Yeah, it was a farm tour, and we didn't stay on the farm, but we got to visit farms in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 or 3 or 4 years later, we went to Australia.
Oh, wow. Well, so how nice was that?
That was wonderful, and we got to stay on the farm. We stayed at 3 or 4 farms. We stayed at one dairy farm, and Kenny got homesick because he hadn't been away
from his cows?
We were gone 2 whole weeks or 2.5 weeks to Australia. We only were gone a week when we went to Europe.
So now, did you stay like in Sydney?
Uh,
Or in the outback?
we were at Melbourne,
Oh, okay.
and we landed at Sydney, and then I can't remember. It's been so long ago. I don't remember the years that we went. And we've been to Alaska, Mexico.
You two are just some jet setters now.
Every year we usually went somewhere on vacation. We had a lot of friends that we traveled with. We went to Acapulco.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Acapulco, and then we went to the Balloon Festival, Albuquerque.
Yeah, we
He's
went
got-
there 2 or 3 times.
He's got a cousin,
Really?
in Albuquerque, and
So I have to ask one question. We
Balloon
went to Acapulco, in Mexico.
Uh-huh.
Now, did you do salsa? Did you do salsa?
no,
Yo, you dancer didn't salsa?
nope, we
Oh,
didn't
come
do
on,
that.
man.
No, we didn't do that.
We played cards up on the 13th balcony, and we threw the cards. One of our friends got mad because he got set, and so he threw the cards overboard. Oh my gosh!
And then wait, was that friend? Was he local?
Yeah,
And do we know him?
they just lived up the road. Well, no, not really. He worked for Phillips, Howard Hewitt,
Uh-huh.
and
He got mad, threw the cards over.
yeah, that was fun. We've had a lot of fun with our friends.
That's cool. That's cool.
He's passed away now, and she moved to North Carolina. I really miss her. So,
Well, me too. I think that's pretty good stories.
and I didn't think that we traveled very much, and Les I think said we went. Oh, Mom, we went somewhere every year. We always had to go on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
We had to go in between the FFA and the 4-H fair and stuff, and get in between be sure that we were home in time or for school. We'd go after the fair or whatever.
That's cool.
We went up the Space Needle. We went to the World's Fair. And what's the island you go to
From New York.
from the Space Needle at Seattle? You go to that little island that belongs to England, doesn't it? Isn't it English? I can't even think of it now. But anyway, we went there, and when we were on the ship to go over there, we sitting in the thing, and we met the man that lives on 16 Highway up there.
Mm-hmm.
Harold Brady was on the same
Oh,
ship.
really?
So you never go anywhere.
Small world.
We went to Disneyland, and somebody kept running up to us, Paola, Paola. I thought, how in the heck did they know we were from Paola? And Daryl had his FFA jacket on with Paola on the back of it. Tell somebody so-and-so hello that we're from Paola. Oh, my goodness.
Everywhere you go.
Everywhere you go.
That's awesome.
It's been fun.
Well, Miss Vera, thank you.
You're welcome. That was a long-winded story.
Oh, that was a good story.
I tell you, we've been a lot of places.
Have missed much.
Instead of fighting, we drove.
Uh,
I bought a pickup
Uh-huh.
and with a camper on the back of the
Yeah,
pickup. My 3 boys rode in the camper in the back, and Vera and I rode in front and driving. And
well, we changed off some
yeah,
days.
but we spent a many a mile.
He had relatives at Reno and
Yeah, we went out to Reno and stayed there a couple of days.
Los Angeles, Hemet, California.
Mhm.
That's when we went to
I don't know
Disney.
how many times we went to Balloon Festival. That is, if you have never went to one of those, that is something.
And
That
then
Balloon Festival.
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, yeah.
Yeah.
He had a cousin that lived there, and we always had a reunion when we go down there. So that was.
We always went where I had some relation. That way you get you free. Didn't have to get a motel.
And we didn't stay at their
You know,
house.
we got to plan ahead, you know.
You gotta work out the kinks. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. Well, I think we're it. I think we're there.
We just told you just a few minor things that we've done, but there's a lot of big things that we have had a wonderful time, a wonderful life.
Like I said, we'll be at the Circle C Cafe, and stories you want to talk about, or you want to tell me, or do you want to be recorded? Then just write them down, and then we'll come to the Circle C and we'll talk about them. All right? Is that where we're at? Kenny, did you hear me, Kenny? Kenny, did you hear me? I said, any stories you have, like any stories that you remember?
We won't be up there. We won't do that. So,
What's that?
well, we've done everything.
Oh. Well, if you think of any stories that you forgot now, write them down, and when you come to Circle C Cafe, then we'll do them then.
He's got a whole new story on his mom's family.
What's that?
A whole new what?
On your mom's family. Tell about your Canaan Castle.
Oh,
Are you familiar with Kansas City
My-
at all,
Yeah.
Johnny?
my grandpa. I don't know. I'm sure you haven't run onto it, but it's possible you have. There's a rock. He built a rock house up in Shawnee,
Castle?
and they call it the castle. In
Johnson-
fact, it just sold
Johnson
not very long ago.
Really?
We've got pictures of it. I'll show you a picture of it here in a little bit. And him and his hired man built this house. And my dad
Lived here.
lived here, right,
Mm-hmm.
up there in the house we always lived.
Yeah.
And my mother lived in Shawnee.
Okay.
And they met. My mother come down here to see
Help her.
one of his sisters,
Her sisters had a new baby.
and she come down, and
She
Dad
went
met
to
her.
Mass at
Mhm.
church. Grandpa saw her, and he found out who she was.
And Dad would go down to the railroad track
Uh-huh.
and get a ticket on the train, and would go to Shawnee
To Carter.
to Mission, and get off the train at Mission and get on a streetcar and go out to.
Shawnee.
That's the way he would date
That's so cool.
my mother.
And stay all night
That
at the
is
castle.
amazing.
Stay all night in this big home up there.
Are you serious?
It's still there, but it
I'm gonna
isn't in the family anymore.
I'm gonna ask my mom.
It's been into a restaurant.
Good Lord, that's a lot of stuff to talk about there. Two of you, thank you so much. I mean, this has been, and you let me come to your home. It's a beautiful home, and I just thank you so much, Kenneth. I'm sorry, Kenny. Miss Vera, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Paul Michael Davis, Kenneth and Vera. I'm sorry, Kenny. Yeah. Kenny and Vera Kaiser, and good old.